Hello Retromoviegirl fans, my name is Retromoviegirl and I'm back with yet another Audible audiobook review. And this is, the name of the book, the title is This Is Living. And what it is it's about a married couple, Jayson and Chole. And Jayson is a overworked resident at a hospital. And Chole is his wife, and they have 2 kids, twins, and Chole is afraid to be left alone. And one night, when actually this takes place over the course of 2 nights, Jayson doesn't call to say that he won't be coming home until 2 days later. He's given another shift. In the process of leaving, he's given another shift. So he doesn't call his wife, and his wife is like, oh my God, I thought you meant into an accident, blah, 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 blah. And she decides, well, he's not going to call me, so I'm going to go down there and see what he's doing. Make sure that he's actually doing what he says he's doing. Because, she's worried that he might be cheating. And she's told by her sister-in-law, don't say that when you go down there, because it's just going to be hell if you say that when you go down there. So, of course, Chole lets her mind take over and starts to hyperventilate about certain actions that are taking place. And she immediately, her sister-in-law says don't mention it. She immediately mentions it as soon as she gets Jayson alone, which causes discord. And there's a lot of stuff that you find out about Chole, despite the fact that This Is Living as a series. Only book 2 is available on Audible, so just want to warn you about that. But pretty much, basically, it's about the good and the bad of being married. Jayson has to make certain sacrifices, and it takes some convincing from his brother, who has like 6 kids and a wife. And he learns that maybe he hasn't been the best husband or the best father, despite trying to be the best doctor that he can be. He hasn't always been the best husband that he should be. He hasn't always put his family first, and that has had a terrible result on his marriage. His marriage could have ended and has been on the precipice, going over the cliff, and Jayson just hasn't noticed, which is bad. But I think overall the story shows what happens when you actually stick with someone, and it's not all about the happy times, because there are tragic times for Jayson and Chole. You'll learn in the story that they do have some difficulties. Chole has some issues from her past that come back to bite her, but in the end, the marriage stays not necessarily. It gets rocked by some major things, but in the end, it's only rocked. It's not pulled apart. Nobody turns away despite the issues they're having. Nobody turns away from their partner, and sometimes during the story, things are not discussed as they should be, like adults should discuss them. But let's just face it, sometimes we're not all adults when it comes to adult situations. We have, like children, I'm sure there's 100 situations you could name where you've been inappropriately a child in a situation where you needed to be an adult. Because we're not all perfect. It doesn't all snap into place. What I think is unnecessarily portrayed in romance novels is the happy ending. You don't get to see what happens after. At this point, Jayson and Chole have been married for some period of time. They've been living their lives in a way that they thought their lives were like perfect, and that nothing could go wrong, and that their marriage was strong and it couldn't be rocked, because I think they met, like some of the other stories I've talked about recently, they met in college and they've been together ever since and got married after college and had their kids, so their life seems settled. But sometimes waves come and unsettle you, and you have to deal with that in a way that these characters find both appropriate and inappropriate. Because sometimes people act inappropriately without knowing the full situation, and sometimes even when you know the full situation, you still act inappropriately and like a child. We've all done it. There's not a person that can hear my voice that hasn't acted like a child at some point or another. So there's that, and there's also the fear of being left behind, being cheated on, which I think is a fear that we all have. But it's particularly different when you and your spouse maybe work in a different area, or maybe you stay home and your spouse goes to work and meets other people. I think most people are afraid of that. You can't safeguard against everything and everyone. You can't be like a wall. I think Jayson considered their marriage like a wall and nobody could penetrate it, and he didn't consider that maybe there are people that are looking to attack what he considers his castle, his marriage, his sacred place, and he was not aware of this until an employee, a fellow friend, told him that this was maybe somebody else's plan. And you see the point of view from his parents, his sister-in-law, his brother, his wife, and you see from Jayson. So you don't get one point of view. You see from his mother, I think her name is Ava. You see from her point of view. There's a chapter where she narrates the part of the story, but most of the story is told in both Chloe and Jayson's point of view, so you get to see both, and you get to see what their families think, and the observances inside the marriage, and the falsehoods, and maybe just the misunderstandings inside the marriage. So I think it's very helpful to see that, and hopefully more writers will write what marriage actually is, and not just the happy ending. I wish I could see more of things like the Marriage Diaries, or Wrapped Up in My Wife, or other books like the Juniper Cord series. I wish I could see more of stuff like that, and maybe writers will write more of that, but I haven't seen that yet on Audible, in paperback, or any place else. Please, if you're a writer and you enjoy romance, please write more books like this, because I would really like to see what happens from somebody else's point of view, and take that under advisement. And I'll talk to you in my very next video, and hopefully you'll subscribe and like this video and share it with somebody you know that likes audiobooks or any kind of books for that matter. And I'll talk to you in my next video. Bye.